Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hrudayantasto hi abhadrani vidunoti suhritsatam Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttamasloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. So we are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 24, titled Chanting the Song sung by Lord Shiva. We are reading verse 21 and 22 today. Verse 21. Nila rakto palamboja kalarendivara karam hamsasaraka chakrahva karandava nikunjitam. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. In that great lake, there were different types of lotus flowers. Some of them were bluish and some of them were red. Some of them grew at night, some in the day, and some, like the Indivara lotus flower, in the evening. Combined together, the lotus flower filled the lake so full that the lake appeared to be a great mine of such flowers. Consequently, on the shores there were swans and cranes, chakravakas, karandavas, and other beautiful water birds standing about. Purport. The word akaram, mine, is significant in this verse, for the reservoir of water appear like mine from which different types of lotus flowers were produced. Some of the lotus flowers grew during the day, some at night, and some in the evening. Accordingly, they had different names and different colors. All these flowers were present on that lake because the lake was so calm and quiet and filled with lotus flowers. Superior birds like swan, chakravakas, and karandavas stood on the shores and vibrated their different songs, making the entire scene attractive and beautiful. As there are many types of human beings, according to the association of the three qualities of material nature, there are similarly different types of birds, beasts, trees, etc. Everything is divided according to these three qualities of material nature. Birds like swans and cranes who enjoy clear waters and lotus flowers are different from crows who enjoy filthy places. Similarly, there are persons who are controlled by the modes of ignorance and passion, and those who are controlled by the modes of goodness. The creation is so varied that there are always varieties found in every society. Thus, on the back of this lake, all the superior birds live to enjoy that atmosphere created by great reservoir filled with lotus flowers. Text 22. Matta Brahmara Sauswarya Hrushtaroma Latangripam Padmakosha Rajo Dikshu Vikshipat Pavano Savam. Translation. There were various trees and creepers on all sides of the lake, and there were mad humblebees humming all about them. The trees appeared to be very jolly due to sweet humming of the bumblebees, and the saffron, which was contained in the lotus flowers, was being thrown into the air. This all created such an atmosphere that it appeared as though a festival were taking place there. Trees and creepers are also different types of living beings. When bumblebees come upon trees and creepers to collect honey, certainly such plants become very happy. On such occasion, the wind also takes advantage of the situation by throwing pollen or saffron contained in the lotus flowers. All this combines with the sweet vibration created by the swans and calms of the water. The Prachetas considered such a place to be like a continuous festival. From this description, it appears that Prachetas reached Sivaloka, which is supposed to be situated near the Himalaya mountains. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सुंदर गोस्वामी नामने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसती गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. I like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. So we are in this chapter titled "Chanting the Song Sung by the Lord Shiva." First few verses we read about genealogical line of Prudu, and verses 16 to 32 talks about the Prachetas meeting the Lord Shiva, especially like um, um, last couple of verses and the next few verses we will be um, uh, reading about the description of the lake where the Prachitas went to perform austerities. So in the verse 20, while traveling, Prachetas, happened to see a great reservoir of water, which seems like a big as the ocean. And in the verse 21 and 22, verse 21 talks about the lotuses and birds, and verse 22 talks about the festive atmosphere, there around in the lake, and descriptions. And Prabhupada, mentioned in the uh, purport, this at the end that Prachetas considered such a place to be, continuous festival. And from the description, it appears that Prachetas reached the Shivaloka, which is supposed to be situated near the Himalaya mountains. So coming to the verse 21, um, describing the different creatures, as there are different types of human beings according to the association of the, three modes of material nature. There are also different types of birds, bees, and trees, and also it says like creation is also varied. There is always varieties found in the society. Um, So here the harmony of the lake, which reflects the peace that comes from the God consciousness, or the environment. And this natural beauty becomes an offering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here in this verse, the focus is on the beauty and richness of the lake, and it looks like um, this is just not a lake, but it's a living and sacred ecosystem, and it has full of multicolored lotuses, and surrounded by a melodious birds, swans, and energetic cranes, charming chakravakas and sweet voice the karandavas, and it also the sounds of the birds, animate the scene. It is which is divine, harmonious in the nature, and this also reflects the this is the reflection of the sattva guna, mode of goodness, harmony between the different living creatures. And this shows that this harmonic natural world is not an ordinary place. It's like it's under spiritual world, or world where it's not an ordinary thing. And in the Bhagavad Gita 14:5 talks about you know three gunas, modes of material nature. And it consists of three qualities of gunas: sattva guna, raja guna, and tamo guna. And in the verses 14.678 and talks about the details about each guna, how is the mode of goodness, sattva guna, which characteristics are being peaceful, clean, wise, compassionate, and their goal is to seek the knowledge, truth, and self realization. So in the usually the people in mode of goodness, sattva guna, inclined towards spiritual life and are able more receptive to the bhakti yoga. They may become brahmanas or sadhakas, and but even in sattva guna, it binds the soul with the illusion of superiority or satisfaction in material virtue. But ultimate goal is to shuddha sattva, transcending the even the mode of goodness. In the 14.6 says, uh, O sinless one, the mode of goodness is purer than others. It illuminates and frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode develop knowledge. And coming to the mode of passion, Rajoguna, the characteristics are, being restless, ambitious, competitive, desiring and attracting to the results. And their goal is to, accumulate the wealth, be in the power or, seek more sensual pleasure and fame. But in Krishna consciousness, these individuals are very active, but their activities are, materially motivated. They may find hard to take devotional service because they're always busy with their material gains or, passion in achieving something other than spiritual life. However, when their passion is purified, they can serve powerfully in preaching and organizing devotional activities, like that. So, but the verse 14.7 says, the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. Because of this, this embodied living entity bound to material fruitive activities. And mode of ignorance, tamoguna, their characteristics are laziness, delusion, intoxication, sleep, violence, and depression. And their goals is, immediate gratification, and one way there is no goal at all for them. But these people are most resistant to spiritual understanding. They're often attracted to sense gratification or illusion or distraction. But however, with Krishna's mercy and prasada can uplift them, and even those souls over the time, trans into a mode of goodness, and by practicing, they can also go to Suddha Sattva. Here in verse 14.8 talks about mode of ignorance causes the delusion and it binds the soul through laziness, sleep, and madness. But Krishna consciousness transcends all these gunas. The goal of Krishna consciousness is to rise above all these three gunas, come to the platform of Vishuddha Sattva, platform of pure devotion, which is the beyond material nature. But verse 14:26 talks about one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, yet once transcends the modes of material nature and comes to the level of Brahman. So the devotee may start life in any guna, but by chanting the holy names of Krishna, hearing Bhagavatam, associating with devotee, honoring prasada, they can, raise up to the transcendental platform. So here people differ externally because of their, guna association, but every soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So the duty of devotee is to see beyond this external behavior and help awaken the bhakti in every heart. So you are in the verse 22 talks about, uh, festival atmosphere, trees and creepers, also different types of living beings. When humble bees come to the trees and collect the, honey, they certainly become very happy. Like the plants also become happy, and as it's becoming an offering to them. And the prachatas here, considered to be in a place, like a continuous festival, and it seems to be a place where Shiva resides, which is situated near the Himalaya mountains. And this whole scene, it looks like a celebration of spiritual ecstasy. And as we hear that, we have to see all the living beings as equal. And if you're a devotee, you can appreciate Lord's creature, not only the human beings, different living beings. But here in these verses, it clearly shows it's like a high level of understanding how the trees, plants, creepers, humblebees, birds, all of them are the living beings. Everybody has a soul, and all of them are living harmoniously, and it looks like a more peaceful and calm. It looks like a ideal world where nature is in harmony with the supreme personality of Godhead. And there are five levels of chetana, consciousness in living beings, which says like one is the avruta chetana, another one is sankuchita chetana, third one is mukula chetana, the fourth one is Vikasita Chetana, and last one is Purna Vikasita Chetana. So in Avrita Chetana is a covered consciousness. That means here the conscious is almost completely covered. So these usually seen in non-moving life forms like trees, plants, or maybe high tasamic animals like worms or insects. but their function is basic survival instinct. There is no clear self of own awareness or external perception. Even though they have a source, their consciousness is deeply buried under material covering due to their past karma. So the next level of consciousness is the contracted or shrunken consciousness. Here consciousness is limited or contracted or self-centered. This is seen in the animals. Their function is some awareness of surroundings, but focused only on eating, meeting, sleeping, and defending. But these beings have more evolved senses, but still they lack the intelligence to inquire about the self or God. And then the next level of consciousness is a Mukula Chetana, budding consciousness. This is like a bud about to blossom. The consciousness is emerging but not fully expressed. But this is seen in less spiritually awakening human beings. They're just beginning to question material life, but their function is, potential for spiritual awakening. But these individuals are often seeks, meaning, and with proper guidance, they can advance quickly. Then the blossomed or developed consciousness, this is where we see in the spiritually inclined human beings, sadhakas, jnanas and bhaktis. So their function is they are aware of the soul, temporary nature of the body, and need for the spiritual progress. But this is the stage where bhakti begins to flourish. But once in the next level is the fully blossomed consciousness, where it's a fully awakened and pure consciousness. It is seen in the liberated souls, pure devotees, and parahamsas. Uh, but here in the second verse, right, even though all living beings have a souls, but even the trees and creepers also have the souls. Um, you know, uh, so not only humans, animals, and but also plants and trees and creepers have a soul, and they have a covered consciousness, and so one should not, the Bhagavatam 7:14:7 says, one should not even cut a tree without a purpose, but as it is a residence of a soul as well. And if you see in the Vrindavan, right, the trees and creepers also serve Krishna silently. They're not ordinary, they're considered the devotees of Krishna. They provide the shade, fruits, flowers, fragrance, all in service to the Lord. And in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15:5, it says that Krishna praises the trees of Vrindavana. These trees are perfect examples of those in the mode of goodness. For whatever they possess, right, their bodies, branches, leaves, fruits, flowers, they offer to others. This is the ideal, selfless service, which devotees are encouraged to emulate. You know, even the trees can be spiritually elevated, but we have seen in Lord Chaitanya pastimes where the trees also danced and chanted due to his mercy. So also we can also learn from teaching from the trees in Vaishnava's humility, right? The tree teaches the humility in especially in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed in Sistastaka, right? Tinadapi Sunichana, Tarorapi Sahishnana. So we should be more humble than blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree, because that tree teaches the tolerance. It tolerates heat, cold, rain, wind, and all still it gives the shade. So when it was cut, it doesn't complain. But this is the model for our devotees, having a developing forgiveness, humility, and service. So in summary, the verse 21 talks about description of the lake. Lake is full of lotus flower, and it has a beautiful water with birds and other creatures standing about. And in Prabhupada mentioned that there are different types of human beings according to the association of three qualities of material nature. Here there are similarly different types of birds and bees and trees and etc. Last verse 22nd talks about the festival atmosphere taking place, and it is considered to be a place where prachetas see the continuous festival. It appears that they reach the Sivaloka. So with that, I can conclude for today's session. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Vancha kalpatarubhasya krupa sindhu bhevata patitanam